Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, pressure is mounting in the impeachment inquiry of President Donald Trump. Find out how U.S. diplomat Bill Taylor's testimony delivers some of the most visceral details yet. And between a total flip of the House and Senate in Virginia and calls in Kentucky for recanvassing, state elections aren't safe from the political drama. We'll review Tuesday's election and cover critical points from elections near you. Next, there's a new sales holiday in town, and it's happening today. Find out how your credit and debit cards are about to become the most valuable things in your wallet.
We've had a couple of nice fall days here in Lexington, Virginia, but the clouds are starting to roll in and winter weather is coming. Tune into weather to find out more.
And later, the Rockbridge Report suits up at Hinojosa Boxing Club in Buena Vista to find out how the ring is becoming a knockout with local youth.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Crawford Humphreys.
And I'm Gigi Lancaster. Congressional impeachment committees have released the closed-door testimony of Bill Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine. Among other things, Taylor described a quid pro quo in President Trump's Ukraine scandal. The U.S. ambassador to the EU also described a quid pro quo. CNN's Jessica Schneider has more on Taylor's testimony.
The top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, Bill Taylor, told lawmakers it was his clear understanding security assistance money would not come until Ukrainian President Zelensky committed to pursue the investigation into the 2016 election and the Ukrainian company where Joe Biden's son served on the board, Burisma. Taylor recounted how top NSC official Tim Morrison told him President Trump did insist that President Zelensky go to a microphone and say he is opening investigations of Biden and 2016. Taylor was alarmed and sent a cable to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, describing the folly I saw in withholding military aid to Ukraine at a time when hostilities were still active in the East and when Russia was watching closely to gauge the level of American support for the Ukrainian government. Taylor's testimony points to a quid pro quo, something the president has repeatedly denied.
There was no quid pro quo at all. I didn't do it. There was no quid pro quo.
Taylor was asked if the president ever told Taylor directly why the aid was being withheld. Taylor responding, "I didn't hear it from the president. I can't say what the president was thinking." And that is what Republicans are now seizing on as their latest defense.
What they said is any information that they had was from whom? Ambassador Sondland. None of them talked to the president. I can assure you that there has been no direct link to the president.
Taylor also repeatedly criticized the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, for his rogue foreign policy on Ukraine. When Taylor was asked if EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland was responsible for withholding Ukraine aid in exchange for investigations, something former National Security Advisor John Bolton had called a drug deal, Taylor said it was actually Giuliani who was the proxy for Trump. I think the origin of the idea to get President Zelensky to say out loud he's going to investigate Burisma and the 2016 election, I think the originator, the person who came up with that, was Mr. Giuliani.
Taylor and other top U.S. diplomats are set to appear in Congress for public hearings next week. A New York judge ordered President Donald Trump to pay $2 million to settle a lawsuit alleging he misused his charitable foundation to further his political and business interests. Judge Sally Ann Scarpula also signed off on an agreement Thursday to close the Trump Foundation and distribute about $1.7 million in remaining funds to other nonprofit groups. A request for comment was emailed to Trump's lawyer. New York's Attorney General filed a lawsuit last year alleging Trump and his family illegally operated the foundation as an extension of his businesses and presidential campaign. Attorney General Letitia James had been seeking about $2.8 million in restitution from the president. Scarpula cut that amount to $2 million. Foundation lawyers have previously said the lawsuit is politically motivated.
As the impeachment inquiry rumbled along this week, state and local election drama unfolded on Wednesday. Kentucky gubernatorial candidate Matt Bevin, citing, quote, many irregularities, requested a recanvassing of votes. A recanvass is a reprinting of the receipts from voting machines that can be used to check election results. This move comes after his opponent, Democrat Andy Beshear, claimed victory Tuesday night in a potential major upset for Republicans. With 99% of precincts reporting Beshear is less than 5,000 votes ahead of Bevin. But the Beshear campaign does not believe the recanvass will change the outcome. Democrats cheered Tuesday's election results. Republicans, on the other hand, sought to frame a possible loss in a deep red state as an outlier. And there is still a year to go before the 2020 presidential election. Both big parties are reading signs in the big 2019 outcomes. Karen Kafer reports from Washington.
Democrat Andy Beshear declaring the Kentucky governor's race against Republican incumbent Matt Bevin over.
I'm done with running for office. It's now time to govern.
And claiming a victory cheered by Democrats across the country. Bevin has not conceded and has asked for a recanvass of the vote. The tight race in a state President Trump won by 30 points in 2016 could signal trouble for Republicans next November, even if they seem unruffled now.
We're not concerned at all. You know, some of those governor's races are very specific, very parochial.
Trump had made an election eve appearance in Lexington with Bevin. Downplaying Tuesday night's outcome, his 2020 campaign in a statement credited Trump with helping Bevin run stronger. The president was on the winning side of the governor's race in Mississippi, where he and Vice President Pence visited on behalf of Republican Tate Reeves. But in Virginia, Democrats worked a strong ground game to turn the purple state blue.
And this is an exciting day for the Commonwealth of Virginia. After 26 years, we are officially blue.
And attributing their success to suburban voters who will be crucial to the 2020 presidential contest. Democrats flipped both chambers of Virginia's legislature, emphasizing gun control and Medicaid expansions under the existing Affordable Care Act, which Republicans have sought to limit in Virginia and elsewhere. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafer.
In other elections across the U.S., people of color made history by winning mayoral races and school board seats in places where their families were once ignored or prevented from voting. The gains highlight the ongoing demographic changes in the nation, but also the growing political power of Black, Latino, and Native American voters. To catch up on local elections you might have missed, check out our website at rockbridgereport.wu.edu or follow us on Twitter at Rockbridge News.
Kingpins of a Chinese fentanyl trafficking network will be sentenced by a court in Xingtai, the culmination of what has been billed as a rare example of China-U.S. collaboration in the fight against deadly synthetic opioids. China and U.S. officials are also expected to hold a news conference about the operation. For more details on that developing story, follow along at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, rain is set to leave Lexington tonight, but chilly temperatures seem to be here to stay in Lexington, with nighttime temperatures predicted to drop into the 20s early next week. We'll hear more from Lily Mott about this week's forecast. And later, get your credit cards ready. There's a new retail holiday that made its debut today. Stay tuned to find out how today might be your lucky day. Stay with us. Your wallet might thank you later. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report's local election update. Let's get straight into our official results. Incumbent Cree Deeds held on to his Virginia Senate seat, fending off independent Elliott Harding by over 30% of the vote. And in the House, incumbent Ronnie Campbell emerged as the delegate for District 24, defeating Democrat Christian Worth and independent Elliott Harding. This means that the incumbent in District 24 and 25 held on to their spots.
The results for Glasgow mayor and town council are finally in. Shane Watts was elected mayor, but his name was also on the ballot for town council. He ran for mayor as a write-in candidate after realizing there was no one running. 3 of the 6 seats on the town council were also up for election, and Watts also received the most votes in that race. Andrea Bradley and Barrett McFadden were re-elected to town council, but the 3rd seat remains vacant. The county registrar's office said someone will be appointed to fill the open seat. In the Natural Bridge District for School Board, Kathy Burant was also elected as a write-in candidate. And in the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors race, Leslie Ayers beat out 4 other candidates in the Buffalo District with nearly 33% of the vote. Charlie Kostelny, Max Smith, Jonathan Terrace, and Randall Trout split the remainder of the votes, with none of these candidates reaching above 25%. And in the Natural Bridge District, David McDaniel beat out Andrew Ryan by just over 12% of the vote in a 55-43 spread. And in the South River District, Kathleen Archer was defeated in a landslide victory for incumbent Bob Day. Day received nearly 80% of the vote.
Moving on to Buena Vista, Joshua Elrod was elected as Virginia Commonwealth's attorney over Daniel Mowry. And in the BV City Council race, incumbent Stephen Baldridge lost his seat to challenger Cheryl Hickman, as incumbents Lisa Clark and Stanley Coffey held on to their spots.
Rockbridge County and Buena Vista schools are improving school safety with grants from the Virginia Department of Education. The two school districts received nearly $200,000 last month to address security concerns in the wake of school shootings across the nation. Maury River Middle School plans to use its share of the grant to install safety film designed to keep glass intact even after it is shattered. Natural Bridge Elementary School plans to spend its share on an upgraded intercom system and 16 new security cameras. Randy Walters, Director of Facilities and Transportation for Rockbridge County Public Schools, says the county hopes to install swipe entry systems in each school in the future.
I was planning on going for a walk tomorrow, but I've heard that I've had to bundle up. Do you know anything?
Yeah, what's the weather looking like this weekend?
Yeah, we've had a nice couple of fall days, but it's certainly gonna get a little chillier as we move into the weekend in particular. If we take a look at our live shot right now, we can see from Lexington that the clouds are rolling in and winter is definitely coming to Virginia. Right now it is 63 degrees and the low this morning was 31 degrees, so we are seeing a drop into freezing temperatures. The barometric pressure is 30.04 inches of mercury and the wind speed is 8 miles per hour, so it is a little gusty out there. The humidity is 55%, and if we take a look at our regional radar, we can see that this large block of precipitation is moving into the Rockbridge and Lexington areas, and that will continue into the night. If we look at our regional conditions, we're all in the high 50s to the mid 60s. Charlottesville is going to be our highest. It is 64 degrees there and cloudy, and Covington is our lowest, 58 degrees there and rainy. So there are some scattered storms in the area. If we take a look at our 5-day forecast, we are going to be seeing considerable drops in temperature Friday and Saturday. Friday, we're looking at a high of 44 degrees and a low of 22 degrees. Then Saturday, about the same, 47 degrees is your high, 30 is your low. Sunday, it's going to warm up a bit. 61 degrees is the high on Sunday, and it's about the same for Monday. 60 degrees will be that high on Monday. Tuesday, unfortunately, it is going to drop down again. 43 degrees is the high for Tuesday, and the low is 22 degrees. We are going to be seeing a chance of precipitation, and we could even be seeing, in addition to the rain, a few scattered snowstorms. So get ready for that. That's all I have for the weather. Now back to you guys.
Thank you, Lily. Well, up next, California prosecutors are accusing Saudi Arabia of bribing Twitter employees to access personal information on American citizens. The scope of Saudi Arabia's alleged misconduct next. And later, almost 40 years after Stephen King's The Shining hit bookstores, Danny Torrance and the Overlook Hotel are back. For a sneak peek on the film and much more, stay with us.
Prosecutors say the Saudi government recruited 2 Twitter employees to gather confidential personal information on thousands of accounts that included prominent opponents of the kingdom. The complaint says the Saudi government is frustrated by growing criticism on social media of its leaders and policies. The complaint detailed a coordinated effort by Saudi officials to recruit Twitter employees to look up users' private data, including internet protocol addresses that can reveal a user's location. Prosecutors say the Saudis rewarded the Twitter employees with a designer watch and tens of thousands of dollars funneled into secret bank accounts. Both have been charged as acting as agents of Saudi Arabia.
There's already Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. And now there's a new retail holiday to tell you about. For the first time ever, Cashback Day is making its debut today. Mary Maloney has a closer look in today's Consumer Watch.
The holiday shopping calendar is getting busier. Add Cashback Day into the mix. For 24 hours starting Thursday, November 7th, hundreds of retailers are offering up to 20% cash back on purchases. That includes online giants like Amazon, Expedia, and Overstock.com, and stores like Home Depot, Macy's, and Bass Pro Shops. The event was created by the online coupon site Retail Me Not. It is touted as a way to get your holiday shopping done sooner and get a nice payout before the last-minute shopping rush. Here's how it works. You create an account on Retail Me Not, shop from the list of retailers, and then your cash back is paid 45 days later via PayPal or Venmo. This event aims to rival Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. Retailers taking part are hoping this new shopping holiday will attract shoppers early in the season and motivate them to come back and buy again later. Retail Me Not says Cashback Day will be celebrated the first Thursday of November moving forward. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mary Maloney.
Fewer people in Lexington are recycling this year, and City Council is taking notice. In July 2018, 35% of city residents were recycling, but Lexington's Public Works Director, Jeff Martone, said the rate has dropped to only 29% in August. The city stopped recycling paper in the spring, when Recycling and Disposal Solutions in Roanoke began requiring Lexington to separate paper from number 1 and 2 plastics and metal. Lexington City Council is planning to schedule a work session to discuss the city's recycling methods. For now, Lexington will continue recycling glass, metal, number 1 and 2 plastics. For a full list of accepted recyclable materials, visit lexingtonva.gov. Main Street Lexington now has another place for you to get your haircut, the Irish Barber. It is the 5th establishment of this kind on Main Street and the 19th in Lexington. Some worry that this might be too many in a town of only 7,000 people.
The Irish Barber is open for business on Main Street right next to Nepal Thai cuisine. Ted Byrne, a barber born in Ireland, opened his business in Lexington in late September, but he's not the only one in town cutting hair. The Irish Barber now joins 18 other businesses in the city of Lexington that specialize in cutting hair, including 5 on Main Street. Byrne said that he saw a need in town and that business is only getting busier every week.
I had been working in Lynchburg and there was a good demand over there, there's Liberty over there, and I just thought there's no barber shop in town here, so I thought it was a good opening.
Some shop owners think that there are already too many places in town for people to get their hair cut. As of October 2019, the State Board for Barbers and Cosmetologists had issued 57 licenses in the city of Lexington. George Sherburne has owned a shop in the area since 1968 and has seen the shops come and go.
Common sense will tell you, the more there are, the less chance a new one can take a hold or begin to grow. And there's sayings that maybe 20% of the hairdressers do 80% of the work.
Jessica Shipman at Cindy's Salon on Main Street said that the large number of places in town isn't necessarily a bad thing.
You know, I feel like every place has their group of people, and you know, they vary in cost, so it's kind of nice you have a broad selection of that, just so it doesn't rule anybody out of having good hair.
Adding to the competition is the fact that not everyone can walk into town and get a trim. The city of Lexington has 3 college campuses close by, and those college students like to get their haircut at particular places, especially those at Virginia Military Institute. The VMI barbershop manager, Glenda Dudley, said that they see an average of 170 to 200 cadets every day.
For the most part, we're wall-to-wall cadets. These cadets have the same, if not better, service here.
As for the Irish Barber, he said he's glad that he opened his barbershop in town.
Like, you know, it started off busy. I have to say the first month had I done a quarter of what I would have been happy with a quarter of what I had done. But like, it's been every week so much busier. And
in Lexington, Coleman Martinson, Rockbridge Report.
Still to come on the Rockbridge Report. With Heniosa Boxing Club to find out how boxing is gaining traction in the Buena Vista community. And later, we'll share a sneak peek at the movie sequel to Stephen King's cult classic, The Tale of The Shining. Continues next.
Well, it's the best time of year for sports fans of all kinds. Pro and college football and basketball in full swing, and also some big local sports stories.
Victoria, what do you have for us?
We've got a really great story about a local high school. Perry McClure High School crushed Craig County High School's defenses last Friday, cruising to a 40-0 victory. The win snaps the Blues' losing streak, bringing them to 1 win and 5 losses. The team will travel to take on Narrows High School at 7 p.m. tomorrow. And Rockbridge County High School ground out a 34-29 victory against Harrisonburg last week, pulling their record up to 7-2. The Cougars face off with Turner Ashby High School at home tomorrow at 7 p.m. Across the United States, boxing continues to grow as one of the most popular forms of exercise. Folks in the Rockbridge area have found a place to hit the ring too. The Rockbridge Report's Colin Whitmore has the story.
Hinojosa Boxing Club in Buena Vista offers something for everyone. Owner Larry Hinojosa says whether visitors want exercise or serious training, the gym is open to all.
Here we do really try to work with each other as a team to not hurt one another. And it's a good place to learn.
Hinojosa formerly coached at VMI, and in 2015, his team won the Division I National Championship. 2 years later, he left VMI to open the gym, which is the only one in Rockbridge County.
It was just an empty spot. It had been like a gun shop before I came in here, so there wasn't any walls or anything like that, and so I thought it'd be a good spot to put a boxing gym.
The club has been a hit in the Rockbridge community. Within the past year, Hinojosa created a kids class that has become increasingly popular and competitive. Hinojosa's 15-year-old daughter, Riva, won her first fight in July and says she hopes to eventually make a career in professional boxing.
I want to be in the Olympics and win it and then go pro after that.
Hinojosa says she particularly likes boxing for the personal empowerment the sport gives her.
I like everything about it, but I guess being able to protect myself and like knowing that I don't really need anybody else, that I can take care of it.
14-year-old Liam Coleman says boxing provided him with a lifeline after football didn't work out.
My football kind of fell apart, and I was like, I want to try boxing. So I told my dad took me over here one night, and I instantly fell in love. Within the first 30 minutes of being over here, I loved it.
This Saturday, Coleman has his first competitive fight in Manassas, Virginia.
I'm looking forward to, I've been training for a while now, so I'm really looking forward to being able to go in there and show what I'm made of.
Like Riva Hinojosa, Coleman has big dreams for a professional boxing career. Business Insider estimates there are approximately 20,000 active professional boxers.
I did the math. In the next Summer Olympics where they have boxing, I'll be 19 or 20. So it's prime age, so I might try to go to the Olympics and then therefore try to go pro after that.
Coleman says that Hinojosa's mentoring has been critical to his development as a person and a boxer.
I'm so happy to have him. He's been like the best coach ever. Like, he looked after me from the beginning. He's kind of been like a second father to me.
Since 2014, IBIS World says the number of people attending recreational boxing gyms and clubs across the U.S. has grown by 2.5% annually. Hinojosa says he expects that growth to continue and hopes to continue expanding the gym. In Buena Vista, for the Rockbridge Report, I'm Colin Whitmore.
Hinojosa says that in January, he will teach a course for SVU at the boxing gym. He hopes to attract more Washington and Lee students as well. Washington and Lee University's fall sports teams approach the championships of the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, and several teams have conquered their way to the semifinals. On November 2nd, Generals Cross Country continued its ODAC dominance, with both men's and women's cross country teams taking home their 5th ODAC titles in a row. Cross country will compete again in the NCAA South-Southeast Regionals on November 16th. Field hockey is taking their 10-7 record into the playoffs after defeating Bridgewater 3-1 on Tuesday. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., they'll face Shenandoah. Generals soccer is also heading into exciting matchups. Women's soccer is second seeded, coming off a resounding 4-0 victory over Ferrum yesterday. They play third seeded Virginia Wesleyan on Saturday at 3 p.m. Men's soccer already beat Virginia Wesleyan 2-0 and is moving on to face Roanoke at 6:30 this Friday. Last but not least, volleyball defeated Bridgewater 3-1 to head on in the ODAC tournament. The Generals play top-seeded Randolph-Macon in the semifinals of the league tournament on Friday at Crenshaw Gym at 5:00 p.m.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Victoria. We look forward to following all the general sports this weekend.
Well, nearly 40 years since The Shining terrified movie audiences, its sequel is set to scare once again. Rick Damigella has a preview of Dr. Sleep. Be advised that the film is R-rated and viewer discretion is advised.
You're magic. Like me.
I don't know about magic. I always called it The Shining.
Ewan McGregor is a grown-up Danny Torrance dealing with the trauma from the events of The Shining in Dr. Sleep. Jack Nicholson's performance in The Shining informed McGregor's.
I felt like there has to be this very important thread between me and Jack's character in The Shining. So I spent a lot of time watching him trying to sound a bit like him, or at least sound like a son sounds like his father.
The movie delves deeper into exploring the character's telepathic abilities known as the Shine.
Well, hi there. My character's its own entity in this. She doesn't travel between. She does not have to dip into, nor does she have to have any relations to the previous film. And that's kind of lovely.
13-year-old Kylie Curran, a newcomer to the big screen, dove right in to prepare for her role.
I read the script a lot of times, and then I read a little bit of Dr. Sleep to kind of get a grip, and then I watched The Shining 4 times. So that helped a little bit.
When I was a kid, there was a place. A dark place. They closed it down.
Sleeping with the lights on in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
That's all for today's Rockbridge Report. Thanks for tuning in.
For more information, follow along at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. Have a good night.